Yastyaktvā rūpamadhyam prabhavati jagataha anekadha anugrahaya prakshena klesharashihi vishama vishadharaha anekavaktra subhogi sarvajnana prasutihi bhojaga parikaraha pritaye yasya nityam devo hi shaha savo vyat sita vimalatanuhu yogado yogayuktaha yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena yopakarotam pravaram muninam Patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi abhaho purushakaram shankhachakrasidharinam sahasrashirasam shvetam pranamami patanjalim Shrimate Anantaya Nagarajaya Namo Namaha Patanjala Mahabhashya Charaka Pratisamskritaihi Manovakaya Doshanam Hartreya Hepataye Namaha Bhashyakrit Sutrakrit Chapi Nirmalantam Surupinam Dhyataram Shripatir Nityam Patanjalim Namamyaham Drashtra drashyayoho samyogo heya hetuhu. So my friends, last time we concluded with the sutra Heyam Dukkham Anagatam, which basically means you anticipate the suffering that has not yet come and be prepared for it because you cannot avoid it completely. As we talked about, the yoga philosophy says that some of the karma vasanas are predetermined. We cannot control it, For example, just to give you a metaphor, suppose my mother or my father or my grandfather or my grandmother, they have planted a seed in our garden, in my house, that is going to be a mango tree or a neem tree. And this tree starts to grow, the mango tree starts to grow, the karma has been initiated. Now, whether I like it or not, its consequence will only be mango or neem, if depending on the seed. So I cannot say that, oh, I don't care what my grandmother or grandfather planted, I want this tree to give me pineapples. It's not going to happen, because the seeds of these have already been determined and it has been planted and it starts to grow. Now I can chop the tree off and kill it, but I cannot prevent that this tree will become a mango or this tree will become a neem tree, if that is the seed. The same way, we can chop ourselves off by killing ourselves, maybe, but that is not a good option because we will not be there. But we cannot change our predetermined destiny of what we will become. Our swabhava, our seeds will not be changed. If I am predetermined to be a man, I cannot change this. If I am predetermined to fulfill a particular dharma, my prakriti is determining that, I cannot change it. I can change maybe the expression of the seed. Maybe I am supposed to be a musician and maybe I choose which kind of musician I can be. But I cannot change the fact that that seed of music is there in me already from my ancestry. The karma has been initiated. So then why do we suffer? That's what Patanjali is answering in the next question. Drashtru drishyayoho samyogo heya hetuhu. The cause of the suffering is nothing but relationship. Relationship is the source of our problems. Now, it's a very big word. It's a very big word because this word relationship has so many meanings. It could mean relationship between two people, me and my partner, me and my parents, me and my children, me and my friends. It could be between people, or it could be between me and my job, what I choose to do, my employer and me, my kind of job and me. Or it could be me and the environment. I don't like the weather in Chennai, it's very hot. Then I go to a very cold place like New Zealand and I say, oh, I don't like the weather, it's too cold. And I go to Africa, oh, it's too dry, the desert, it's very dry. So me and the environment can also have relationship problems. Now relationship can be between me and my body, me and my ego. So there are many manifestations of this word relationship. That's why even in the text like Yoga Rahasya of Nathamuni says that the primary cause of suffering is Sangha, relationship, attachment. But interestingly, if you saw a few weeks ago, we discussed that yoga is a relationship, which means the solution is also through relationship. So what is the problem? What is the solution? Both are relationship. That is why Acharya Desikachar said that relationship is yoga, relationship is the solution. So that's why we have to understand what relationship is the problem, what relationship is the solution. Patanjali presents here which relationship is the problem. Drashtru drishyayogo samyogo heya hetuhu. The cause of our suffering is because of this intense relationship between drashta and drishyam, Purusha and Prakriti, matter and consciousness. That is the fundamental source of the problem of our suffering. Now, this needs some explanation. Why is this a problem? Why is this a source of dukkham? Now, to understand that, we have to understand a little bit about Sankhya and Yoga philosophy of what is Purusha, what is Prakriti, and why this becomes a reason for difficulty. Now, Purusha is pure consciousness. It is our non-material part. We are made of both what is called material part and non-material part. It's very different from what modern science is saying. Modern science is looking at us as a material being or a biological being only. We are made up of cells, that is biological matter, you can measure. But Vedic philosophy, and not only Vedic but also many other ancient philosophies that is coming from around the world, also say that we are not only matter, we are also consciousness. That is not matter, that is spiritual dimension, the metaphysical dimension. The metaphysical dimension of consciousness. So we are a combination of two. We exist as a combination of two. Because this metaphysical entity, what is called Purusha in Yoga philosophy, to fulfill its dharma, it needs a medium. It needs a material medium. So it needs that vehicle. Like for example, I want to travel from here to Japan. Now I cannot walk from here to Japan. So I need a vehicle. I take a flight maybe from Chennai to Singapore, and then from Singapore to Japan. I take a flight. So I need a vehicle for transportation to fulfill my destiny of going to the destination, that is Tokyo. That's why the word is called destiny. It takes us to a destination, our goal, dharma. We all have a dharma for existence. We are not here in this world only to eat, sleep, and procreate. We are not just for these three reasons. We are here for fulfillment of a dharma. Each of us, we have a dharma which is different from different people depending on each of our predispositions and potentials. I don't think my dharma is to be a painter like the artist who made this beautiful painting behind me. It's not possible for me to paint like that. It is not in my potential. Maybe the artist does not have the potential to be a teacher, like it is my dharma to teach. So each of us, we have a destiny. That is the destiny of the consciousness. But unfortunately, the consciousness needs a material structure to fulfill that destiny. That's why the relationship between Purusha and Prakriti starts. Purusha and Prakriti come into a relationship that is called samyoga, as used by Patanjali, drashtru drishyayoho samyogaha heya hetuhu. Samyoga, a very intimate, intense relationship. Why it's called samyoga? It's because it's almost inseparable. That's why. Because where in our body is consciousness? The better question is, where is it not? It's in every single cell. Because if the cell has the capacity to divide, multiply, etc., it has consciousness. The cell has the capacity to nourish and excrete, it has the consciousness, and every cell has these possibilities. So the question is, where is it not? It's everywhere in our system. So that is the deep and intense relationship. It's almost like you cannot separate. Our Acharya Ramanuja, our ancestral teacher, he tells by giving us an example, you cannot separate a flower and its smell. The moment some of you today have rose in your head, you cannot separate the rose from its rose smell. As long as there is a rose, there will be the smell. And if there is a smell of the rose, it means there is a rose. It's like you cannot separate the two. That's the intense relationship, samyoga. So same way, Purusha and Prakriti enter this intense relationship in order to fulfill a dharma. Now, this is what happens in many relationships. Why are we in relationship with a partner? We have to fulfill some dharma. So we get into a very intense relationship. Now, what is the problem with what is the problem with every relationship? Even if you take two people's relationship, it is bound to have challenges because the two people will never be the same. They are not going to have the same qualities. Now that is where Patanjali is sharing to us drashtra drishyayoho samyogaha heya hetuhu. This relationship between Purusha and Prakriti is bound to have problems because the nature of Purusha and the nature of Prakriti are very different. The nature of Purusha and the nature of Prakriti is very different. And unfortunately, it's kind of like an arranged marriage. The Purusha or the Prakriti did not choose to be in that relationship. They just happened to be in that relationship. And of course, they cannot separate. The only thing that can separate is death. The only thing that can separate this relationship with Purusha or Prakriti is death. They didn't make the choice. So they are doomed because they are of very different nature. Anitya, Ashuchi, Nitya, Anitya, Ashuchi, Dukkha, Anatmasu, Nitya, Shuchi, Sukha, Atmakhyatihi, Avidya. Purusha is what is called a Nitya Tattva, an eternal principle, compared to Prakriti, that is Anitya Tattva, that is non-permanent. That is non-permanent. So, Purusha is something that is lasting a long time period. Prakriti is having an expiry date. So, think about the relationship between two people. Just think about it, where one person knows that they are going to live 1,000 years and the other one knows that they are going to live only 40 years. So, imagine the conflicts that will come. So, Purusha knows this body is only going to exist for such a long time, but maybe its dharma to fulfill will take longer than that. So starts the conflict between Nitya and Anitya, the permanent and the non-permanent. There starts to have the conflict. Purusha wants to be there forever because it wants to be there until it fulfills its dharma. But Prakriti unfortunately has an expiry date. It cannot be there forever. Purusha wants to be forever. That's why Patanjali says in the 4th chapter, Tasam anaditvancha ashisho nityatvat. The nature of consciousness is its desire to be eternal because it has to fulfill its dharma. Until it fulfills its dharma, it has to keep trying. Imagine, you have to keep traveling. That's your job. Now your job maybe is spreading over 35, 40 years. But you have a motorbike that is lasting 3 or 4 years. What do? Every 3, 4 years you are upgrading your motorbike. You sell it on eBay or OLX or something like that, and you buy a new one. Same way, what Vedic tradition is saying is, Purusha is disposing this body, saying, okay, go away and it will find a new body. That's what Bhagavad Gita says, that the consciousness moves from one body to another continuously to fulfill. Now, imagine a simple couple's relationship where there is a husband and the wife. The wife or the husband knows that the other one is not going to be long and already starts giving signs that he or she is going to go to the next one. He or she is going to the next one. Imagine the conflict it will create. The same conflict is there between Purusha and Prakriti because one is eternal, one is not eternal. So it's dysfunctional relationship between Purusha and Prakriti already starts the moment they come together. This is what is the conflict between Nitya Tattva and Anitya Tattva. Further, Ashuchi and Shuchi. Now think about this. In a couple relationship, let's say one person is very clean, one person is very dirty. One person is extremely clean, one person is very dirty. Will there be a problem or not? The clean one will keep complaining about the dirty one. The dirty one will keep complaining about the clean one, saying, you are perfectionist, you are perfectionist, you are control freak, you are control freak. So there is bound to be conflict. The same conflict between Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha is considered Shuchi Tattva. It's pure. It doesn't have impressions. Prakriti has impressions. Somebody punches us, we have a mark. We slip in the staircase, we start bleeding, we get a mark. There is impressions of hurt. There is impressions of joy. There is memory, which is a very deep impression. All this is part of Prakriti, which is kind of like coloring. It's kind of corruption. Because all these impressions does not allow us to be in the present moment. Imagine if some of you are hurting me, I will remember you hurt me. So even if you are nice to me today, I will only look at you from the point of view of you hurt me. Suppose I am doing the reverse to you, I am hurting you, I say something that hurts you. Now you will always remember me with that hurtful thing, you will not see me in the present moment. Now imagine two parts of us. One part wants to be in the present moment, one part is seeing from the past, from the impressions. It's very confusing, it's going to cause conflict. Imagine in a couple's relationship, one is saying, oh, let's go with this person is a nice person. The other one is saying, no, that person is not a nice person. What will happen? You will get conflict. And it does not depend on the person, it depends on your perception of the person. So same way, Shuchi and Ashuchi. The Purusha is pure, it is not having deep impressions like Prakriti. It's relative to Prakriti. Prakriti is full of impressions and memory. And Patanjali even warns us, Anubhuta Vishaya Asampramoshaha Smriti, memory cannot be forgotten. So if something is registered as memory, it's very difficult to erase. It's very difficult to erase. Imagine you had a trauma with your mother or father. You wanted to go to ballet school, but your mother did not allow you to go to ballet school because maybe the ballet classes were $20 per session, whereas Bollywood dancing was free. So your mother, maybe at that age, that time in her life, family did not have enough money to send you to ballet, only to Bollywood dancing. Now you are hurt because you wanted to be a ballet dancer. So there is a trauma. So you look at mother as, oh, my mother does not really like me, my mother does not really like me, she's not. This trauma is very deep, you have this anger. You will not even see, you will not base your perception on fact. You will base it on the impression. That's the problem many people have today. The world has become so hurt and staying with the hurt that people don't want to see facts. They want to function from their hurt. So that is the conflict between Shuchi and Ashuchi. What is pure and what is impure. Dukkha and Sukha. Think about this. in a relationship between partners where one partner wants to be a free spirit, wants to be spontaneous, wants to be a free spirit, does not want to plan, wants to go and follow the moment. And the other partner is very rigid, very bound by rules and regulations and boundary and all that. Very constricted. No, I will not go outside the house. I would only want to know what is inside my world. I don't want to know anything new. I'm fixed. This is the only way. Now imagine these two people together. It's bound to be conflict. It's bound to be a separation very soon. The same happens between Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha is free-spirited. It flows freely. Purusha is Sukha Tattva. Sukha here does not mean happiness. It means that which flows freely. Consciousness is not controlled. Consciousness does not have limitations. Consciousness is transcendent of boundaries. Whereas Prakriti is Dukkha Tattva. In this way, context, it does not mean sadness. It means that it has boundary. No, my body is separate from yours. My body is not transcendent. My body cannot move through the door. I cannot walk through a door. Consciousness can move everywhere. It is free. My body is limited by boundary of space and by boundary of time. It is constricted. Consciousness can move into the past, into the future. It can move in space. It's a free spirit. But Prakriti is not a free spirit. It's a restricted matter. It's not even a spirit. So imagine a relationship between those two. Intense relationship with those two. How dysfunctional can it get? Imagine just a couple where one person is very open and free and the other person is very closed and bound. Definitely there will be a lot of problems, relationship problems. That's why many people today, they choose to be single because they don't want to deal with the other entity. But unfortunately, Purusha and Prakriti cannot do that. Only thing that can happen is death. Death is a separation of the Purusha and Prakriti. So Purusha and Prakriti somehow have been put together in an arranged marriage that Purusha did not choose, nor did Prakriti. They are trapped in this relationship where one wants to be free and the other wants to be not free. Imagine how psychologically confusing it will be for this entity called human being. And it's not only for us, it is for everybody. But what's the difference between us and animals and human beings is, animals and plants. Animals and plants allow Purusha to dominate. We allow Prakriti to dominate. That is our weakness. And those who are enlightened, they allow Purusha to dominate. They are free, they are liberated. That's why the word itself is called liberation. Because you're not trapped. You are liberated. Liberated does not mean death. It just means that you're allowing consciousness to take over and take control. A plant moves freely. It grows where the sun is there. It doesn't prune itself or cut itself to look beautiful. It's growing in a free spirit, how it wants, how it can. Within the limitation of its seed, that it is a mango tree, it will become a mango tree. But in what shape and what color it will be different. It is freely flowing, especially according to seasons also. We want to control everything. We want to be control freaks. Because we want Prakriti to dominate, not Purusha. We are talking about anti-aging cream, beautifying cream, this and that, because we are so attached to the body. We don't want to attach ourselves to Purusha. Purusha has no age, nothing to worry about anti-aging then. No, it's always there, right? A lot of people color their hair, put whitening cream, and it's so funny because In India, everybody wants whitening cream. In the West, everybody wants darkening cream. We are not happy with what we have. And that's even worse. We are not happy with the body we have, and there is all this conflict. So that is what is the conflict between what is free-spirited and what is not so free-spirited. Then comes, my God, Atma and Anatma. Just think about a relationship where in a couple, one person is very lively, they want to live life, and the other person is so dead, so dull. Hey, let's go to a movie. Hey, let's go to the beach. So imagine if one person wants to live life and the other one is dead. Metaphorically, dead. They are bored, they are lazy, they are so depressed, they are not alive. Now that's exactly the problem between Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha is Atma Tattva, it's conscious, it's lively. It wants to explore, it's curious, it wants to live. Prakriti is what is called Jada Tattva, it's dead. It's dead. That's why when Prakriti and Purusha are separate, the body is existing, it's not alive, it cannot smell, it cannot taste, it cannot feel, nothing is possible for the dead body. It's dead, it's not alive. It cannot smell a flower, it cannot taste a fruit, it cannot touch some nice things, it cannot see anything, it's dead. So, the marriage between somebody who is so alive and somebody who is so dead surely is going to cause conflict. And that is what is the conflict between Purusha and Prakriti. So think about it. In 4 major dimensions, Purusha and Prakriti are so different. 4 fundamental dimensions, Purusha and Prakriti are so different. So of course it's going to cause dukkham. That's why Patanjali says, Drashtru Drishyayoho Samyogaha Heya Hetuhu. As separate entities, they are not suffering. If Purusha exists as Purusha, Prakriti exists as Prakriti, there is no suffering. It's like the free spirit is living freely, the controlled person is living in their own world, they don't cause suffering to each other. The moment you put them together, it's a problem. It's a very big problem. Clean and unclean. No. I was telling my students last week, I came back from Delhi on Monday, and it was a late night flight, last flight, and the flight was anyway delayed, and I was so tired. And I really thought, okay, Delhi flight to Chennai is 3 hours, I will sleep a little bit before I go home, and then because next day I have to teach early morning. So I'm trying to sleep, but my neighbor has the most smelly socks in the world. And for some reason he's removed his shoes, so that the smell of the socks is so fantastic. So what do? You have conflict. I keep trying to wake him up. I'm in dukkham because I cannot change the seat. The flight is full. I cannot even ask anybody go somewhere else to exchange, because if I exchange, that poor person will have the same suffering as me. But that man is sleeping so well with his dirty socks. But the moment you put the two together, it's a problem. So I'm waking him up, please, please, please. And he's agitated with me because I'm waking him up. I am agitated with him because his socks is so smelly, I cannot sleep. So that's this problem between Purusha and Prakriti. They have no other option. They cannot go somewhere. They have been put together by somebody. In Vedic tradition, we believe Ishvara is deciding the combination of Purusha and Prakriti based on the karma vasanas of past. Whatever we have done in the past, not us only, but also our ancestors, that brings the marriage of Purusha and Prakriti together. We are not choosing it. We are not choosing how we have to be. I don't get to choose, I want to be male or I want to be female in my mother's womb. It is predetermined. I don't get to choose what kind of body constitution I will have, what color hair I will have. No, I can change it temporarily with dying, but it's not natural, it's going to change. So, poor arranged marriage of Purusha and Prakriti has already been predetermined and we are stuck. And we are so different, the Purusha and Prakriti are so different. One is having completely different characteristics than the others, and they are supposed to fulfill a dharma together. Imagine that. They are supposed to fulfill a dharma together. That is a challenge like nobody else. That's why Patanjali says, this is the cause of suffering. If you want to look at it that way. Because Patanjali will later say also something. Swaswami shaktyoho svarupa upalabdhi hetuhu samyogaha. There's another way to see this. It's not purely suffering. It is also to know the true nature of ourself, that this is come. Because when things are convenient, we will never know ourselves. It's only during challenges that we will actually discover our true nature. And this is not said only by Patanjali. So many people, so many philosophers have said, when everything is going according to plan, you become complacent, you get lost in yourself. Whereas when you go outside your comfort zone, then you really discover yourself, and then you know who you are. There is a concept called Narita marriage, Narita divorce. Many Japanese students of mine have told me that many people, Japanese, they become a couple, they are only living in Japan, everything works well. In Japan, everything is very organized, very structured, very predictable, so it's fine. Then they go to vacation or for honeymoon to a place like Thailand or Hawaii or something, where things are not working the same way. So they're put outside their comfort zone. True nature is revealed. They know they cannot be with them, they separate. Correct, madam? So that is what Patanjali says. You will know your true nature because of this relationship. Because unless you are challenged, you will not know your nature. If everything goes according to plan and prediction, it's not worthy. That is the biggest problem modern society has, because we all think we are entitled for comfort. This is the biggest problem of modern society. We all think we are entitled for comfort. Everything should work according to how we want it to work. We should never suffer. We should always be happy. It's not possible. The reality is we have to somehow suffer. Today afternoon, I plan to watch cricket. India is playing South Africa. I cannot expect every match India will win. Because if every match India will win, eventually I myself will become bored of India cricket matches. Because it's not exciting. So there has to be both. And you will know your true nature when you are challenged. That he says later. But in this sutra, it's so clear that the reason for our suffering is this very dysfunctional relationship between Purusha and Prakriti. Very dysfunctional relationship between Purusha and Prakriti. But then how is relationship the solution? Later in the 4th chapter, earlier in the 1st chapter, Patanjali has presented it very beautifully. If you have relationship with Prakriti, you are suffering. If you have relationship with Ishvara, you are liberated. You choose which relationship you want. If you have a relationship with matter, you are suffering. If you have a relationship with Ishvara, you are free. You choose what you want. It's a very beautiful idea that will come later in the sutras. But unfortunately, Patanjali also warns us, Eka samaye cha ubayanavadharanam. In the same moment, you cannot have relationship with both Prakriti and Ishvara. You have to choose one or the two. You cannot be in relationship with Purusha as well as be in relationship with Ishvara. It's not possible. Patanjali says, choose one. You cannot be in relationship with Purusha and Ishvara at the same moment. You have to allow one relationship to dominate. And of course, he subtly indicates relationship with Ishvara is a better choice. But he does not judge our choice to be in relationship with Prakriti. And he says, if your relationship with Prakriti, face the consequences, no problem. Choose it, face the consequences. If you are in relationship with Ishvara, no problem. Choose it, face the consequences. Both are okay. That's what the beauty of Patanjali. He is not judging anybody who makes their choices, but he says, whatever choice you make, remember, it is not free from consequences. The choice that we have to make between Prakriti and Ishvara is more simple. It's more simple. So sometimes we have to understand the sutra from this point of view. And that is where the sutra is highlighting us that relationship is the problem. And this relationship between Purusha and Prakriti is a source of a lot of dukkham because they are so dysfunctional. They are so different that it is not going to be a smooth ride. And this is a very strong reminder for us, for people who think spiritual path is easy and smooth. It's not easy or smooth. Actually, it's the opposite. If you take the examples of great examples we have in history, like Buddha, very famous example. Buddha had everything going for him in his favor. Luxurious life, he was the prince. He had a wonderful wife, he had wonderful children, he had a beautiful palace, he had wonderful subjects. Everything was going on smoothly. But that did not make him spiritual. Only when he saw suffering, when he experienced suffering, he realized that there is something else that is missing in his life. The spiritual search started. So many people today who think spirituality is an easy journey, they are all blinded by some delusional words of masters who say that spirituality is an easy path. Come, I will save you. Should be very careful about these kind of things because every path is a challenging path, no matter which tradition, whether it's yoga or Buddhism or any other religious path or any of the traditional pagan methods. Every tradition has always said that spirituality is actually learning to deal with our challenges, deal with our shadows, deal with our dark sides, which is not going to be easy. Which is not going to be easy. And that is why the sutra is very significant, because it reminds us that our life in the path of spirituality is not going to be easy, it's going to be challenging, especially because we are a complex entity which is a marriage of two very different entities in a very dysfunctional relationship put together to achieve a dharma. Now think about the final point about this. If these two dysfunctional entities can achieve our dharma, what can be better? If imagine two dysfunctional teams are coming together to achieve a final dharma, then that team becomes so strong. It's like Marvel's Avengers. If you see the first movie of the Avengers, they're all dysfunctional, they're all fighting with each other, they're so different, there's ego clashes and this and that, but then they come together to fight a common dharma. Then now they become the strongest team. The same way, if our dysfunctional parts can come together and achieve the dharma, what better result can we expect? That is the positive side of looking at this sutra. Drashtra drashyayoho samyogo heya hetuhu. Namaste, my friends. Thank you.